I found an article on MLB.com that I was very, very interested in. Is 15 pitchers who could win a Cy Young Award in 2025. They chose 5 guys from the American League, 5 guys from the National League, and then 5 dark horse candidates. And I haven't gotten very deep into the dark horse candidates on this article, but there are some guys that are not such surprising choices in each league, but there are some very surprising choices in my opinion that they chose in this article. But let's just go ahead and go through it. The American League favorites, their number 1 choice is Tarik Skubal, which is very, very, very obvious. Just won the Cy Young last year. He's 28 years old. He had a Triple Crown campaign and he just did incredible. What can you say about Tarik Skubal? It looks like he's going to be doing this for quite some time. He had a hell of a year, almost 200 innings pitched. He was an all-star. Cy Young, like we said, he finished 7th in MVP voting, led the league in 5th, 228 Ks and 192 innings, 2.39 ERA, 18-4 record. If you like the record, 6.3 WAR. Very, very, very impressive season from Skubal. I think he can definitely do it again. It sucks that he just didn't really do it in the playoffs. He gave out that big homer to Lane Thomas, but who knows, maybe the Tigers can get back there this year and he can sort of dominate the playoffs. We'll see. I think he can absolutely win it again next year. Number 2, they have Cole Ragans for the Royals. He finished 4th last year and second lefty on the list already. I really, really like Cole Ragans. I'm lucky that I live in Kansas City, so I've gotten to see him pitch in person, and the dude is nasty. The Royals got him in a trade from the Texas Rangers for Aroldis Chapman, and talk about a winning trade for the Royals. My goodness. Ragans is going to be good for a long time. And if we're being honest, the Rangers won that trade as well. They won the Cy Young that year, but I can't help to think like, man, what could Cole Ragans add to that Texas Rangers team? But anyway, Cole Ragans was a reliever in Texas, and when he came over, he immediately went to a starting role, and all he did in 2023 was go 12 starts with a 2.64 ERA, 71 2/3 innings pitched, 89 strikeouts, and the dude's stuff is electric. I mean, I think there were some questions whether or not he could sustain that over a full season the year afterwards, but he did exactly that. 32 starts he made, 186 innings pitched, 223 strikeouts, just five less than Skubal, a 3.14 ERA, a FIP of 2.99, 4th in the Cy Young voting, and an all-star. That's quite a good year, and there's no reason to think he can't do it again. He's going into his age 27 season. I think he can absolutely do it again. He finished 4th last year in the voting. I really wouldn't be surprised if he finished higher. Here's where it gets a little bit interesting though. 3rd place, their choice for number 3, their number 3rd pick, did not receive votes last year because he was dealing with Tommy John surgery, and that is Jacob deGrom for the Rangers. And this is just an interesting pick to have like in their AL. If I were to choose Jacob deGrom, I think I would have chosen him for like a dark horse candidate, because when is the last time he pitched over 100 innings? I am very interested, because that's what it's going to take. There's no question that he is amazing when he's on the field. I mean, he came back from Tommy John last year and still shoved in his limited amount of time. He only started 3 games, but 1.69 ERA and 10 2/3 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts. Sure, small, very, very small sample size. When's the last time he threw over 100 innings? All the way back in 2019. That is a very, very long time. I didn't even realize it was that long. And man, that sucks. Man, I mean, he did pitch a full season in 2020, but it was the COVID season. Finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting that year. And despite only throwing 92 innings in 2021, he finished 9th in the Cy Young voting, which is kind of nuts to me. But he's going to have to make more starts. I mean, he's going into his 37 age season, and we haven't seen him throw more than 100 since 2019. Like I said, I just think it's going to be very, very unlikely. I'm interested to see how he's doing this spring. I haven't really paid attention. He's only thrown 2 innings this spring, so I don't really understand why. I know they're probably trying to ramp him up slowly, but he was healthy going into the offseason, so I'm not sure what they're holding him up for. But anyway, of course, I think he could win it. The question isn't his stuff or his skill, it's how many innings he's going to be on the mound. Garrett Crochet is next on the list, their number 4 pick, and I think that's a great choice. He was in Garrett Crochet was absolutely just insane. And he was doing it for a horrible team, the worst team in history. That's not unfactual. That is literally the worst team in history. 41 wins and 121 losses. It's like, how did they lose that many games with a guy like Garrett Crochet? Honestly, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. They had Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr., and they still managed to be absolutely dreadful. But I think Garrett Crochet is an excellent pick to win the Cy Young. He had a 3.58 ERA last year, which is really understandable. I think that might be a bit inflated due to the lack of skill in the field on that team, but he had a FIP of 269. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. A 12.9 K per nine and 2 walks per nine. That's a really good strikeout to walk ratio. 209 strikeouts in 146 innings pitched. That's just a crazy amount. And dude's going to his 26-year-old season. He's another lefty. He looks like he can absolutely log more innings under his belt this year than last year. If he puts up 180 innings, I know Boston is a little bit hitter friendly, but I think he's going to have such a good year. I would not be surprised if he finished top 3, top 2, or even won it. I wouldn't be surprised. Number 5 is Logan Gilbert, and I think he's a great pitcher. He absolutely could win the Cy Young, and I think he kind of had an underrated year last year, in my opinion. Fantastic rotation they have in Seattle. A very good pitcher's park, so that is absolutely going to help him out a bit. 3.23 ERA last year, 208 innings pitched. He's a workhorse. He is out there consistently. 33 starts, had a sub-1 whip, a .887 whip. Very strong season, excuse me there. But he's been a workhorse ever since he came up. Made 24 starts in his rookie year. Now, I don't know if he started the year on the big league club or got called up somewhere down the road, but look at his game started. 24, 32, 32, 33 this year. Logged the most innings he has in his career. He finished 6th in the Cy Young voting. I think it's a great pick. Absolute great pick. Logan Gilbert is the guy from the Mariners rotation they chose to put in this list, and I think he's the best guy to put in this list. And I think George Kirby could win it as well, but he has some shoulder issues right now, so I don't know if he's going to start on the IL or how much time he's going to miss, but I think Logan Gilbert absolutely has a shot to win the Cy Young. And now we go to the National League favorites, and I am not surprised at all to see Paul Skeens as number 1. I think he's probably the best pitcher in baseball right now, to be honest. I would rate him that high. I think he is the best pitcher in baseball right this second, and man, it's just, I need to watch more of him this year. I didn't get a chance to watch too much of him last year. I did see the at-bat between him and Ohtani, which was electric, but look at this line. He went 11-3, 11 wins on the Pirates. That's a lot of wins when you only have 23 games started for a team like that. 5.9 B WAR, a 1.96 ERA, 170 strikeouts and 133 innings pitched, a sub-1 whip in his rookie year. I mean, he just has it all. He just really has it all. Third in the Cy Young with that many innings pitched, a FIP of 2.44, so not too far off of his ERA. I would not be surprised if he won it at all and got some MVP votes. I think he could finish top 5 in the MVP voting, maybe top 3. I think if he throws 180 innings, I think he wins the Cy Young. I really do. His stuff is just that good. I know he added a cutter as well. It's just kind of nuts. He's just 22 years old. He's going into his age 23 season. Man, if I'm the Pirates, I'm trying to extend him like yesterday. And next, number 2, they chose Zach Wheeler, and he finished 2nd last year. And it's kind of wild to me how Zach Wheeler hasn't won a Cy Young. He's been so good the last several years, last 3 to 5 years or so. And if he doesn't win a Cy Young in his career, like, he's one of the best pitchers I can think about in the last 5 years who haven't won a Cy Young, or it's just kind of a shame. If you look at his seasons since 2021, 2.78 ERA, 2.82. 2023 was a bit higher, 3.61, but still a very solid season. Still finished 6th in the Cy Young that year, and a 2.57 ERA last year. He finished 2nd, 200 innings pitched, 224 strikeouts. And I know a lot of people argued that he should have won Cy Young over Chris Sale, and I can kind of understand that. He had more innings pitched, but at the same time, Chris Sale won the Triple Crown in the National League. So I think he definitely deserved it. And speaking of Chris Sale, he's number 3 on this list. He finished 1st last year. Just talked about him. Like, what a comeback year, and what an amazing trade that the Braves made to acquire him. Without him, they don't make the playoffs at all. 2.38 ERA, 225 strikeout season, and the Triple Crown. I mean, what a comeback year. I think it's such a cool story. And Sale was someone who I think was probably on his way to the Hall of Fame anyway, if he just gets some more innings under his belt, even though this is is his first Cy Young. And now that Cy Young is kind of, I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean, he didn't throw many innings with the Red Sox in the past 3 years at all. And in fact, in 2024, he had more innings pitched than he did since 2020 combined. I mean, he missed all of 2020, but such a good year from him. I don't know if he can win it this year again. I know he kind of had a little bit of injury, something happening at the end of last year. So I hope he got that sorted out over the offseason. Plus, he's getting a little bit older. I do think he's going to be a very, very good pitcher this coming year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of regression there, just coming from like how little he pitched in Boston to what he did last year. It's a lot. I think he probably put a lot of stress on his body, especially of a guy his age, but I would love to see him do what he did last year. I'm a Braves fan, so I would absolutely love it, but I'm just trying to like temper my expectations of what Chris Sale is going to bring to the table in 2025. I'm still going to very, very much be excited to watch him pitch. Number 4 is Corbin Burnes. Excuse me. Number 4 is Corbin Burnes of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he came in 5th last year in the AL Cy Young, his first year in Baltimore. I know there's some things under the hood, like via Baseball Savant, that doesn't look so great with Corbin Burnes. I know his velocity is kind of trending downwards, but he still had a very, very good year. He's still ace level pitcher, a 2.92 ERA over 32 games started, 194 innings pitched, 181 strikeouts, which is kind of low for Corbin Burnes. I know the K rate has been going down steadily also with his velo, so that I don't know if that's really something that I would put a lot of stock in. Now, if he were getting, or actually never mind, I lied, his fastball is up in velocity this past year, so my mistake, but his K rate is down, which is what I was kind of getting at. So maybe I'm wrong. His velo's up. He had a great year last year. I wouldn't worry about the K rate being low unless his fastball was still ticking downwards. Then maybe that's when I would start to worry, especially if he was getting hit a lot harder, but he's not. He's 95th percentile in hard hit percentage. I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought his fastball velocity was trending downwards each year. I think it was just the K rate that I've heard is going down each year, which is fair because 200 strikeouts in 2023, 243 in 2022, but it could be by design because his fastball velocity has kind of gone up and down. It was higher this past year than it was when he won the Cy Young in 2021. So I don't know if there's any really concern about his fastball or his stuff. Still had a very, very good year. Not like his Cy Young year, but very, very good. And I think he could absolutely win it again, especially because he's on the West Coast, which is where he wanted to be. His family's on the West Coast, so maybe that is going to just give him a little bit more energy, or he can spend all of his mental energy on the game rather than being away from his family most of the time. I think it's a good pick. I think number 4 is probably a very, very good spot for him. Number 5 is Blake Snell from the Dodgers, and you know, it's either Cy Young or bust with Blake Snell. We've seen he's only made the All-Star team twice, I believe, and both of those, actually, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he's made the All-Star team. Has he? Or yes. Okay, one-time All-Star, and man, he's either, what it was. Sorry, sometimes I go off of the top of my head, but he's only received Cy Young votes in 2 seasons, and both of those seasons he has won the damn thing. So that is what was on my mind. But he had a really, really good year last year, and despite really starting poorly, and I think he missed some time with a little bit of injury, but he's always a second half pitcher. And kind of like, let's look and see what he did in the second half last year. Now, he didn't have a ton of innings logged, just over 100. Look at his Savant page. It's a lot of red. It just looks like my face after I go to the beach. What did he do in the second half last year? He only logs 35 and 2/3 innings pitched before the All-Star break, and it was pretty horrendous. 8 starts, 6.31 ERA. But my goodness, post All-Star break was insane. I'm trying not to use that word so much, but I've used it a lot lately, so I'm sorry about that. But 1.45 ERA over 68 1/3 innings pitched with 103 strikeouts. That's just wild. That's a crazy second half of baseball, and overall a 3.12 ERA despite having such a poor first half of the season. 145 strikeouts over 104 innings pitched, and he's going to be on the Dodgers where he's going to get so much run support. That team in general is just stacked, and he's absolutely going to add to it. I think that's a fair spot though for Blake Snell, because it is kind of like, is he going to give me the innings? Is he going to have a rough first half? If he is healthy in the beginning of the year, he has a pretty solid first half of the season. If his ERA is sitting at like a 4 by the All-Star break, it's going to be below 3 at the end of the year. It really is. That's how much of a ridiculous second half pitcher he is, and I think he's absolutely capable of winning his third Cy Young, which would be kind of crazy if Blake Snell has 3 Cy Youngs, made it to the All-Star game 1 time, and has only had Cy Young votes in 3 seasons that he's won the Cy Young. That would be kind of nuts. But those are the AL and NL candidates. Let's get to the dark horses. Number 1, Joe Ryan, and I think that is a very, very dark horse. Joe Ryan is a very good pitcher. I like Joe Ryan. I hope he pitches well because I think that Twins team can be very, very good if their lineup stays healthy. I think he had a decent year last year. What did he do? He had a 3.6 ERA over 23 games started. He strikes out a lot of guys. He had a sub-1 whip. That's a very, very good year for Joe Ryan. Expected ERA 2.87. He could absolutely win it. I think he could. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can win the Cy Young. I mean, these are like, it's always fun to see guys come out of nowhere. Like Cole Reagans in 2023, not that he came close to winning the Cy Young because he didn't have the innings pitch, but it was like when he was making those starts for Kansas City, it was like, where did this guy come from? He was a reliever, and now all of a sudden he's a starter mid-season and is looking like a potential Cy Young. So it's fun to see who people think could be the dark horse to win the Cy Young. They also have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I don't know if I could say he's a dark horse. I think he's a great pitcher, but I don't know if he's on that level of like being the dark horse to win the Cy Young. If he won the Cy Young in 2025, I'd be like, all right, I'm not totally surprised. I think it's maybe I'm a little surprised, but I'm not like blown out of the water. He had a great year last year in his first year over from Japan. 3 ERA over 18 games started, 90 innings, 105 strikeouts. Very, very, very good pitcher. I think he could absolutely win it. And Hunter Brown could be an interesting one though. That's who they have for their number 3 dark horse. And I know he had a couple of really, really good months. His season, I think he started out a little bit shaky, but he ended up doing pretty well. His body of work looks really, really good, really, really strong. And you take a look at his Baseball Savant page, it looks pretty red. Not that that's the only thing you should be looking at. Preface that. I just like looking at that just to get a glimpse of, you know, what kind of stuff this guy has at face value a little bit. Maybe not at face value, but you know, sometimes I'm not the best with my words, so I apologize. But what kind of year did he have last year? Yes, he had a great second half, which is kind of what I thought off the top of my head. He had a kind of a rough first half, a 4.39 ERA over 98 1/3 innings pitched, but the second half, a 2.26 ERA over 71 2/3 innings pitched, 74 strikeouts. Very good year. He's a guy I would be like surprised about if he won the Cy Young, just because I mean it's gonna seem like he came out of nowhere, even though we got glimpses of what he can do in the second half that he did last year. So that is a very, very interesting choice, and not more interesting than Bailey Ober though of the Twins. He's their number 4 pick. He's MLB.com's number 4 dark horse, and I do think he would kind of blow me away if he won the Cy Young in 2025. Not that I think he's a bad pitcher or anything, but it's just not a guy that I would think of. He had a great whip. He doesn't throw that hard, but he gets a lot of chase. He strikes a lot of guys out. He doesn't walk that many people. He doesn't get hit all that hard, 83rd percentile in hard hit percentage. He gets great extension. I mean, he's just a big dude. He's a big dude with a funky release point. 6'9". He's 6'9". He's a tall dude, but he finished last year with a 3.98 ERA. So it's not like he's screaming Cy Young, but if you're a guy who has a 1.00 whip over 178 2/3 innings pitched, maybe he should be like a little bit on your radar a little bit more, or a little bit more on my radar. What was his FIP though? What was his FIP? I'm just interested. I'm very interested at this one. I mean, that's a really, really underrated year. 3.82. So it's not like he got unlucky, but it is kind of interesting how that low whip translate into, I mean, I guess it's not a crazy ERA, 3.98, but if you see a whip like that, I'm thinking like, 3.5, maybe 3.2, something like that. But he is going to be 29. He has been pretty good for the last couple years. So maybe there's more in the tank. Maybe he has a breakout season. Not that he hasn't broken out or anything, but that brings me to the last choice of their dark horses, Jared Jones from the Pirates. And man, he was kind of lighting the league on fire at the beginning of last year. Just I had no idea about this guy until he was throwing about like 100 miles an hour in the first half of the year. Now he didn't end up too well. I know he spent some time on the injured list. He only logged 121 2/3 innings pitched, which is still a respectable amount of innings. 132 strikeouts, 119 whip. What did he do in the second is what I'm kind of looking at. He had a really, really rough second half, and that's when I think he missed most of his time. Well, obviously he only had 30 2/3 innings pitched in the second half with a 5.87 ERA. So I don't know if he was still when did he miss that time? I guess he missed it in July and August. He only only had one start in July, one start in August. So maybe he was still a little bit bothered by what was going on in September, but he was kind of going off before the All-Star break. 3.56 ERA, 98 strikeouts and 91 innings pitched. Was that his rookie year? That had to have been his yeah, that was his rookie year. I would have really hated myself if I had just heard of Jared Jones this past year and he pitched like 50 innings in 2023 or something. But I do think he is capable of winning a Cy Young. I don't know how likely it's going to be, but a dark horse I think is fair. I think it's absolutely fair, especially when you consider his teammate is Paul Skeens, which doesn't really matter for Cy Young voting. It's not like they're going head to head in a battle or something, but even if they were kind of like trying to outdo each other, I think that is a pretty healthy competition for teammates striving to make each other better, and I think that's really solid. He could definitely win it. I'm just excited to see all these guys pitch a full year.